Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're going back in time to a very specific date, February 19th, 1861.
And we're heading to Russia for an event that, really split the country's history into a before and an after.
We're talking about the end of serfdom, and just a heads up for everyone listening, we're designing this for English learners, so we'll keep the pace nice and clear.
Right. So first things first. What exactly is a serf? Because it's a word we hear, but the meaning can be a little fuzzy.
It's not just about being a poor farmer, is it?
No, not at all. It's much more than that. A serf was legally an unfree peasant. They were bound to the land.
Down to the land.
Yes. They couldn't move, couldn't marry without the landlord's permission. They were essentially property.
Until this day, February 19th, Tsar Alexander II signs what's called the February 19 Edict.
And it wasn't just one document. It was a whole package, a manifesto and 16 other laws. The idea was to modernize Russia from the top down.
Okay, so let's start with the good news. What did the serfs actually gain from this?
Well, if we look at the main law, the general statute, it seems incredibly positive. Legally, millions of people changed status overnight.
They went from property to, what was the term?
Free rural inhabitants.
Free. I like the sound of that.
It meant personal liberty. For the first time, a former serf could marry who they wanted. No permission needed.
Okay, what else?
They could own property, they could open a small business, go to school, even join the army. These were all huge changes.
So if you stop reading the law right there, it sounds like an amazing victory for human rights.
It does.
But you called this a compromise earlier, and that usually means someone got the short end of the stick.
And here's the twist. The manifesto wasn't really written by the Tsar. It was drafted by, the large landowners themselves.
Oh, so the fox was designing the hen house.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Their main goal was protecting their own wealth. And in that society, wealth was land.
So let me guess. The peasants got their personal freedom, but the land was a different story.
Exactly right. They didn't just get the land they'd been farming for generations. Instead, they got something called an allotment.
An allotment.
And in the most fertile areas, the black soil regions, the landlords actually used this new law to take land away from the peasants.
Wow. The sources say they lost something like, 26% of the land they used to work?
A huge cut, a devastating one. And it gets even worse.
How can it get worse?
That allotment land wasn't free. They had to buy it.
Buy it. With what money? They were serfs yesterday.
Exactly. They were forced into massive debt to the state through something called redemption payments. These payments would last for 39 years.
49 years. And was the price fair?
Often it was far more than the land was actually worth.
So you're free, but you're trapped in debt. What did they call these people?
The legal term was temporary obligated peasants.
Which is just a fancy way of saying
You're still obligated to work for the landlord or pay them until that massive debt is gone. It basically swapped legal chains for economic ones.
I can't imagine people were happy about this arrangement.
Happy is not the word. The reaction was explosive. In 1861 alone, there were more than 2,000 protests and uprisings across Russia.
2,000 in a single year.
Yes. The critics of the time saw right through it. The writer Alexander Herzen called it a lie. Another thinker, Ogaryov, just called it new serfdom.
So it's a classic case of a reform that looks good on paper, but in reality.
In reality, it was designed to protect the old power structure. It kickstarted capitalism, yes, but it left so many feudal remains in place to keep the nobles secure.
It really makes you think about what freedom actually is. We see it as a kind of on-off switch. You're either free or you're not.
But this history suggests it's much more complicated, which leads to our final question for you to think about.
If you are declared free by law, but you owe a debt, you can never realistically pay back to your former owner.
Are you truly free?
A tough question. Thanks for diving in with us today. Stay curious and keep learning.